This is the bonus video for week 10, in which I'm going to highlight some of the details and elaborate a little bit on the assignment guidelines for the visual aid speeches, your second of 3 major speeches for the semester. Now, in a great many respects, the visual aid speech is going to be very similar to your informative speech. It's going to be similar in terms of what the content of it is going to be and how you're going to deliver it. It's going to be similar in terms of what you're going to need to do in terms of fulfilling the standards and the assignment guidelines for the speech. One of the reasons that it's similar, the main reason why the visual aid speech is going to be so similar, is that a visual aid speech really is an informative speech. It is simply an informative speech that has visual aids added to it. So for the first major speech, the informative speech, you were required to deliver and submit a speech that had no visual aids whatsoever, because being able to do that and having the experience of doing that is very important to becoming an effective public speaker, being able to deliver a speaking presentation without visual aids. Here, we're going to be adding in those visual aids, and that will add a new dimension to your presentation, even though it will still be an informative presentation. And one thing that's always worth mentioning or emphasizing is that in the visual aid speech, the most important thing is still going to be the words that are coming out of your mouth. What you are saying, the spoken content of the speech is still going to be the most important aspect of it. Whatever you have in your visual aids, whatever you use for visual aids, all of that should support what you are saying and the words that are coming out of your mouth in terms of what you're speaking about. So in the basic parameters or the basic characteristics, the visual aid speech is going to be the same as the informative speech. It's going to be between 6 and 8 minutes in length, just like the informative speech. It's going to be worth 100 points, just like the informative speech. Those points are going to be divided up into 2 halves again, with 50 points for the organization and preparation and 50 points for the delivery. And when you get them back, the grading checklists will be largely the same, almost completely the same as the ones for the informative speeches as well, with just the addition of a few items related to the visual aids that you'll be using. The research that you're going to be doing for the visual aid presentation will take the same form as it did for the informative speech. You'll need to have 5 sources in your works cited page. At least 2 of those 5 sources are going to need to be offline sources or traditional library sources, printed books or reference books or some sort of research sources that you're going to need to actually go to a library probably to utilize. Your works cited page, again, the citations will need to be in MLA form, and you will need to have annotations on those works cited entries that just tell me a little bit about what information you took from that source and how you used that information. And you will, of course, lose points and some credit in connection with the speech if you do not have annotations on that works cited page. And of course, you'll lose points as well if you don't have any works cited page at all. The content outline is likewise going to be pretty much the same as for your informative speech. Obviously, it's going to have different content because you're going to be speaking about a different specific topic. But the form of the content outline will be the same, using proper outline form with the main points, with subpoints supporting them, and then importantly with that speech heading at the top of the outline. With the various elements required for that heading, which you can read about in the assignment guidelines. Just to remind everybody again, the specific topic for the visual aid speech should be developed from your broad topic for the class, just like the topic for your informative speech was. So whatever your broad topic is, develop or spin off a topic for the visual aid speech that is some more specific content related to that broad topic, just like you did for the informative speech and just like you will do again for the persuasive speech. So the main difference then, of course, is that in the visual aid speech, you will, in addition to speaking the content, you will have visual aids that will support the spoken content visually. What form those visual aids take is largely up to you. You have learned in Chapter 13 about a variety of different types of visual aids, from actual objects and models to photographs, graphs and charts of different kinds, and PowerPoint type computer slide presentations. Now, many of you may decide to use things like actual objects, and that's great, and I encourage you to do that. Many of you will probably use PowerPoint presentation or another program that's like PowerPoint. If you choose to do that, you are going to have to locate the software, learn the basics of the software, and learn how to make the slides on your own, because doing that or devoting class time to that is outside of the scope of what we're able to do in terms of the course material. But there's quite a bit of guidelines and information in Chapter 13 about how to lay out slides. And in terms of technical information, it's really pretty easy to use. PowerPoint and similar programs are relatively easy to use. And most of them have help files and assistance available to you. If you have questions about anything in the process of creating PowerPoint slides, let me know, and I certainly will be able to answer basic questions or make points of clarification in terms of your creation of PowerPoint slide presentations. There are quite a few design tips, as I said, in Chapter 13, so you can use those to help guide you in creating PowerPoint type presentations if you choose to use those for your visual aid speech. The delivery and submission of the visual aid speech is also going to be very similar to that for the informative speech. You'll need to have an audience of at least 3 adults and show that audience on camera at the beginning of the speech or right before you begin your speech. If you don't have that audience and do not show it on camera, you will not get a grade for the speech. And then the main difference in terms of what you're going to be submitting is that you'll have the content outline with the works cited page, you'll have your speaking notes, and of course you'll have the video file of you delivering your speech. And then the one thing that's added to that is that if you do use PowerPoint presentation as your visual aid, upload to the Dropbox the actual PowerPoint file as well, so that I am able to look at your PowerPoint presentation separately from what I'm able to see in the video file. So the addition of the PowerPoint file, if you use a PowerPoint file. Obviously, if you don't use a PowerPoint file, you won't submit one. And the visual aids will be in the form of whatever is able to be seen in the video file. So we have a couple of weeks, a little more than 2 weeks before these presentations are going to be due. The due date for the visual aid presentations is going to be Wednesday, April 4th, so at 11:59 p.m. That night on April 4th is when all of the different elements of the visual aid speech are going to be due, and I look forward to seeing what kinds of topics and what kinds of visual aids that you guys use in your visual aid speeches.